Hello, my name is Rashida. Today I want to talk to you about short stay apartment rental, also known as Airbnb rental. We call it Airbnb because it's, I think, the most popular platform on which it's not actually the most popular. I think booking.com is actually quite popular, except that I think Airbnb, the concept, fits more with Airbnb's operations, and so we call them Airbnb apartments. But in reality, they are actually short stay serviced apartments. So you can get into the Airbnb property rental business through one of four ways. The first one is to buy property to let. The second is to rent to let, so which is subleasing, basically renting from somewhere else and then letting it to another person. The third is through property management, where you basically do the short stay for landlords and then you charge a service fee as a property manager. The fourth is through marketing property, making yourself a property marketing portal, a short stay property marketing portal, like what the platforms, you can make yourself a platform, a marketing platform for short stay properties. I think that the method that you should probably start with first is the property marketing aspect, because it allows you to see how exactly the market is. What are the numbers? What's the traffic? When is the traffic time? What do guests like? Guests don't like cleaning fee, so on any of our properties we don't add cleaning fees. They would prefer higher rent than to pay cleaning fees, and so we deliberately exclude cleaning fees. That's because we saw a pattern. So through property marketing, through short let property marketing, you're able to see the pattern, a behavioral pattern of guests. What do they like? What do they review about? What do they get angry about? What can't they stand? And in so doing, by the time you probably move on to be a property manager, from the marketing aspect, you've probably already known everything there is to know about the patterns, the booking patterns, the behavioral patterns, the review patterns, and all of that comes with the business. To the second way to get into Airbnb short-term rentals, which is property management. Actually, in short stay accommodation, property management is more like people management, because you're gonna be so pissed off by so many people. And so one of the things I usually tell people who tell me I have this course that I'm designing and a few people have expressed interest, that the first thing I tell them is, before you decide whether you want to be an Airbnb manager, have you really thought about whether you can deal with people's bullshit? It's very difficult for me for the first few months. I realized that once guests give you their money, they want the best of everything, and they don't care what your difficulties are, or that the problem is not your fault or anything. Like, nobody really cares. And so you were at the whim of guests. There was one day I literally finished checking a guest in at around 3 a.m. I drove home, and as soon as I plopped on my bed, I got another call at about 4 a.m. Someone was stranded and they needed an apartment. I drove out of my house again, and at the time I remember my sister was there. She was so horrified. She's like, what kind of job can't you sleep? What kind of job can people just call you at any time and order you about, And I think that that's what Airbnb is the kind of business where your guests can call you anytime and order you about. If your guest has no electricity, you don't sleep. They don't have water, you don't sleep. If their data is finished, they're going to harass the hell out of you. So you have to know, do I have the temperament for this business? A lot of Airbnb hosts struggle because they are property owners and they're already big people and they're awesome and they don't need this and they already have their money. Oh, they don't even need the rent that much, You have to know that the most fertile ground for short stay is property marketing, property management, and that's why people who focus on these parts of short stay rental are going to make a killing in profit when they finally do decide to get into the business, or when they decide, to focus their attention in that direction, if they're already into property investment. Subletting. You go, hey, how much is your apartment? My apartment is $3,000 per month. Okay, well, nobody's renting it, obviously, because it's sitting there empty. How about, say, I give you $2,000, and I can assure you this $2,000 every single month for the next 5 years, and so I'm going to rent this apartment from you. I'm going to pay you monthly, or every 3 months, or every 6 months, and then I'm going to take this apartment from you, but with the understanding that I'm going to sublet it to other people, because there are so many apartments or so many property owners that do not agree to subletting, and so you have to be very clear what you're using the apartment for, and then you can go on to rent to let. And that obviously depends on how much business capital you have. If you have $50,000, for example, then obviously you're looking at maybe about 20 apartments that can probably get you. If you are looking at apartments that are around $2,000, if you're looking at something more high end, then obviously more expensive as well. The danger with rent to let is that you can rent it and not get people to let it to. You can rent it, and then your bookings could probably be sporadic in that month. So you pay $2,000 to someone so that you can rent the apartment out for $100 a night, making $3,000. But in this case, you're able to fill your apartment for only 15 days of the month, which means you have run at a loss. So the rent to let option is very volatile, unless of course you have an agreement that allows you to not pay the agreed figure on months that you do not make that much. But I don't think anybody will agree to that kind of arrangement. So it is the kind of situation where you can use $2,000, you can make $4,000, but then you can use $2,000 and then you can make $1,000 or $1,500. So rent to lets are a little more risky than I think the rest of the methods through which you can get into the Airbnb business. So the fourth way you can get in on the action, on the short stay action, on the Airbnb action, is obviously to just buy an apartment, buy as many apartments as you can afford. Or you start with one apartment, and based on the profits that you make from that, you can use that to make a down payment on the second apartment, and then use the rent from the first apartment to pay for the mortgage on the second apartment, or have each apartment pay its own mortgage. And the more you do this, the more apartments you're gonna get. It's science. No, it's not real science, but it's real estate science. So you either buy to let, you rent to let, you do it through property management of other people's properties, and the fourth one is you do it through marketing short let apartments for other people. So however way you look at these four methods, it gives the opportunity for different types of people to be able to do this Airbnb business. So it's not just for people who own property, or for people who have $200,000 to go put down, get into. In fact, when I was starting Accra Short Stay, I didn't have any property. I didn't have any money at all that I could even use to rent to let. So I couldn't buy it to let, I couldn't rent to let. So I didn't have any landlords that had given me any property to manage either. And so I started doing it through property marketing. And what I would offer is, I'm going to ensure that you get clients, and then when you get clients, I take my 10%, which is what I do already as a realtor anyway. So it was much more easier this way to basically it's easier to get short stay clients. And so obviously it's just like doing your normal realtor job, except that you're doing it on a much shorter time duration type situation. So you don't need money to start Airbnb. You don't need money to start short stay serviced accommodations. You just need to be able to market the property, because even if you buy to let, rent to let, manage as a property manager, you will still need to be able to market, because at the end of the day, it is only the things that are marketed that are bought. So those are the 4 ways through which you can get into the Airbnb business. This is just, to show you your entry, and I'm going to make a next video on how to purchase your first Airbnb investment property, how to find the finance for it, and obviously once you have purchased it, how to manage it successfully to make the most out of your investment. Thank you for watching. My name is Rashida, and I'll be coming your way again next episode with more property investment advice from Reinvest Africa.